All right, Son of Man coming in the clouds. This is week 10. We have reviewed and landed on the sealing of the 144,000. But what we did not get to last week is why did these 144,000 get sealed? Because there are a ton of Jews on the earth. And you know, this is in the first half, getting closer toward the middle. And so there are a ton of Jews on the earth. Why do only 144,000 get sealed? Revelation, to me, doesn't give us a clue, but an Old Testament prophecy about this section does. So let's go to Ezekiel. This is eye-opening. Chapter 8. And I think I've told y'all before that being in Ezekiel recently, I am coming to the conclusion, coming almost there, that the whole book of Ezekiel is about the last 7 years.
It is a big book, too.
I'm telling you, it's exciting. Alright, so let's read 17 and 18. Ezekiel 8. 17 and 18, and then we'll put it more in context. So this is Ezekiel speaking about, I don't know if it's God himself or an angel, but one or the other, I can't remember. Verse 17, he said to me, "Do you see this, son of man? Is it too light a thing for the house of Judah to commit the abominations which they have committed here, that they have filled the land with violence, and provoked me repeatedly? For behold, they are putting the twig to their nose. Therefore I indeed will deal in wrath. My eye will have no pity, nor will I spare. And though they cry in my ears with a loud voice, yet I will not listen to them." Okay, this is the end, the summary of a section where God has shown Ezekiel a vision. Now just pretend you were living in Ezekiel's day. And God has shown Ezekiel a vision about the future temple. Guess what temple? The one that's got to get rebuilt. Yeah. So, Ezekiel is seeing a vision about that temple that I think we're going to see in our lifetime get rebuilt. And it's an awesome read. Chapter, is it 8? Anyway, I'll tell you that in a little bit. Basically, God says, let me show you this. And he takes Ezekiel in the spirit to see this section of the temple where awful abominations are going on. And then God says, oh, Ezekiel, it's going to get worse. Let me show you this. And he takes Ezekiel to another section of the temple. And it's awful. Well, that ain't nothing. Let me show you this. And he just shows Ezekiel all these awful abominations that Israelites, Jews, are doing in the temple of God, which is like awful, right? I mean, to do it in your life is one thing, but in God's temple? Okay. So that is the context of what God is saying here. He says they are putting the twig to their nose, the ones who are committing these abominations, and I will deal in wrath, and I will not spare. Now, let's keep reading and pick up in chapter 9. Does anybody want to read verses 1 through 11? Okay.
Ezekiel 9, 1 through 11.
Mm-hmm.
Then I heard him call out in a loud voice, "Bring the guards of the city here, each with a weapon in his hand." And I saw 6 men coming from the direction of the upper gate, which faces north, each with a deadly weapon in his hand. With them was a man clothed in linen, who had a writing kit at his side. They came in and stood beside the bronze altar. Now the glory of the God of Israel went up from above the cherubim, where it had been, and moved to the threshold of the temple. Then the Lord called to the man clothed in linen, who had the writing kit at his side, and said to him, "Go throughout the city of Jerusalem and put a mark on the foreheads of those who grieve and lament over all the detestable things that are done in it." As I listened, he said to the others, "Follow him through the city and kill, without showing pity or compassion. Slaughter old men, young men and maidens, women and children, but do not touch anyone who has the mark. Begin at my sanctuary." So they began with the elders who were in front of the temple. Then he said to them, "Defile the temple and fill the courts with the slain. Go." So they went out and began killing throughout the city. While they were killing and I was left alone, I fell face down, crying out, "Ah, sovereign Lord, are you going to destroy the entire remnant of Israel in this outpouring of your wrath on Jerusalem?" He answered me, "The sin of the house of Israel and Judah is exceedingly great. The land is full of bloodshed, and the city is full of injustice. They say, 'The Lord has forsaken the land, the Lord does not see.' So I will not look on them with pity or spare them, but I will bring down on their own heads what they have done." Then the man in the linen with the writing kit at his side brought back word, saying, "I have done as you commanded."
Thank you. Wow. So, let's go with what's fresh on my mind. So the Lord is going about sending, killing, right? And he's not sparing. He is pouring out wrath. And he's actually starting in the sanctuary, verse 6. Which blows my mind that he's killing in his sanctuary. But these people were doing awful abominations. But anywho, but he's not going to kill any of the ones with the mark, is what it says in the Old Testament. So go back to verse 4. The Lord is speaking to the man in the linen with the writing case in verse 4 and says, "Go through the midst of the city, even through the midst of Jerusalem, and put a mark on the foreheads of the men who sigh and groan over all the abominations which are being committed in its midst." So why were the people given a mark? Because they were sighing and groaning. They were upset over the abominations in the temple. It grieved them that their fellow Jews were doing awful things in the temple against God. That's why they got protected. That's why they got a mark. The Old Testament calls it. The New Testament calls it sealed. The man had the writing case, a seal, a mark, a stamp. I mean, think about king's signet rings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's the name of the king that gets imprinted. Seen or unseen, I don't know. Could be invisible, I have no idea. But nonetheless, there's a mark or a seal or an imprint that these people get because they're brokenhearted over the abominations. Now remember, okay, these Jews at the time, do they know who Jesus is, or do they recognize Jesus as Messiah at this point in time? No, they do not. But they know the living God, or they know Yahweh. They just don't realize yet that Jesus is the Son of God. Yet. But their heart for the Lord earns them this mark. And because of the surrounding context, this is the last temple that Ezekiel is seeing. That'll become more apparent as the night goes on. Let me just make reference because I didn't do it. The whole chapter 8 takes you through what Ezekiel sees, if you want to read it later. The awful abominations. But y'all, I just think that's awesome. Because they have a heart for God, Yahweh. God says, I'm going to protect you, and one day your eyes are going to be open. You're going to see that Jesus is my son. And that does happen in the second half. That's just awesome. Their heart gets them there. Anything in that section you want to bring out? I really just wanted to make sure we saw the heart, and that afterward God really pours out the wrath. He really picks it up and kills. Do y'all have anything else that you want to address in this section? Let me say this. Let me just say this. The end of chapter 18, therefore I will deal in wrath, tells me it's the end. Yeah. One of the things it tells me. Okay, keep going. Okay. All right. Let me put that aside. So now let's go back to our Revelation and see where we're landing after these 144,000, and we're going to pick up reading, and we are going to try to get 3 points tonight. I'll give you those in just a minute. Let's see what happens. So, the 144,000... gets us starting tonight at Revelation 7:9 is where we'll pick up. Revelation 7:9. But let me give you the 3 points. Point number 1. There is a great multitude who surrender to the Lord in the second half. There is a great multitude who surrender to the Lord in the second half. Point number 2. The opening of the 7th seal releases 7 angels with 7 trumpets. And Jesus throws fire from the altar in heaven to the earth. The opening of the 7th seal releases 7 angels with 7 trumpets. And Jesus throws fire from the altar in heaven to the earth. I hate Paula's missing our 7s tonight. The opening of the 7th seal releases 7 angels with 7 trumpets, and Jesus throws fire from the altar in heaven to the earth. And then point number 3, if we get there. Number 3. The first 3 trumpets bring fire that destroys earth, ground, trees, grass, sea, rivers, and springs. The first 3 trumpets bring fire that destroys earth, ground, trees, grass, sea, rivers, and springs. It's on. It's been on with the 6th seal, hasn't it? It's been on. But it's really getting on. Okay, we're ready to jump in? Alright, let's read Revelation 7, 9 through 17. This is the section where we're going to see a great multitude comes to the Lord in the second half. So, who wants to read 9 through 17? Okay.
After this I looked, and behold, a great multitude that no one could number, from every nation, from all tribes and peoples and languages, standing before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed in white robes, with palm branches in their hands, and crying out with a loud voice, Salvation belongs to our God who sits on the throne and to the Lamb. And all the angels were standing around the throne and around the elders and the 4 living creatures, and they fell on their faces before the throne and worshiped God, saying, Amen. Blessing and glory and wisdom and thanksgiving and honor and power and might be to our God forever and ever. Amen. Then one of the elders addressed me, saying, Who are these clothed in white robes, and from where have they come? I said to him, Sir, you know. And he said to me, These are the ones coming out of the great tribulation. They've washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. Excuse me. Therefore they are before the throne of God and serve him day and night in this temple. And he who sits on the throne will shelter them with his presence. They shall hunger no more, neither thirst any more. The sun shall not strike them, nor any scorching heat. For the Lamb in the midst of the throne will be their shepherd, and he will guide them to springs of living water, and God will wipe away every tear from their eyes.
Isn't that beautiful?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that beautiful? Okay. What do y'all reckon clued me in to this being those who came out of the second half? Anybody pick up on it? It was, I'll say in the second half of the reading. I'll tell you, it's verse 14.
Verse 14.
My translation says, These are they who have come out of the great tribulation.
Which
Yes.
the word great means it comes after
Exactly.
the 3.5.
Exactly.
Before it's just called the tribulation.
That's it. That's right. That's right. That's right. First half is called the tribulation. Second half is called the great tribulation. That's in Matthew. We'll look at that in a minute.
And I like that benchmark.
I do
that helped me
too.
a lot.
I do too. It's clarity. It's clarity. So what's happening? Because we're reading. We're in the seals. We're time-wise. We're in the first half. So what's happening is, I don't know how to explain, but it's almost like God showed him a little window into the second half.
Yeah.
but we haven't finished talk about the first half yet. But it's okay. I mean, don't we communicate that way sometimes too? Hey, I forgot to tell you about so and so last week. Oh, wait a minute. Let me tell you about next year real quick.
Oh, boy.
But anyway, so it's like a little parentheses of him seeing into the second half. So the great tribulation, the second half. Go back and look at verse 9. There's going to be a great multitude which no one can count, from every nation and tribe and people and tongue. Because John saw them standing before the throne in white robes. You don't make it to the throne without coming to the Lord, right? So there's a great multitude nobody can count that comes to him in the second half. That's after the rapture. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I don't know that I ever processed that. Yeah, it's doom and gloom and it's wrath and wow in the second half. Woo, boy, when we get there. But there's also great multitude coming to him in spite of the awful times. Wow. I mean, you talking the mark of the beast in the second half, right? I mean, it's just, you just name it. And without the mark of the beast, you can't buy and sell and trade. You can't get food. You can't. There's people coming to the Lord. Awesome. Multitude in the second half. Woo!
Do you think any of these people had heard the word of God or knew anything about him?
I think so. I think so. Now, you know, I think so. I think
They've been saved, backslid, or no longer?
something in that category. Something, yeah. I can say with certainty it would be people who haven't been serious, aren't enduring to the end, haven't overcome, you know, certainly that, yes. How that all lands, but yeah, I do. And then they're going to be like, oh. I think it'll include them, yeah.
You might have a friend that talked about Jesus all their life, and they were like, yeah, whatever. And then they say that it's true.
Yeah,
And then they'll be ready to jump on board,
yeah,
realize the truth.
yeah, right. I mean, we know lots of people who, I'll look into that later. I'll look into God later, you know. So I think there'll be a lot in that category
Start
too.
daydreaming when you're talking about it.
Yeah. Only God knows how all that shapes out, but it's going to be a lot.
It's going to be tough because when the church leaves, Holy Spirit leaves.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
That'll be hard.
These have to be serious people to endure, but they're going to endure and
A lot realize it's worth it, though.
exactly.
Multitudes.
Okay. Let's just take a minute and let's just place our eyes on, I would say, the most prevalent section that clarifies the first half is tribulation, the second half is great. Let's just put our eyes on it. There may be others, but this is where I don't know, tend to go to. It's in Matthew 24. Now y'all know what's going on in Matthew 24. What's the context? Turn to 24.
Matthew 24.
And,
Talking about it.
yeah, go ahead. What's the,
Revelation,
say it again.
desolation. They're talking about that.
They are talking
'Cause they're
about
asking when
desolation.
it'll be coming
Yep, exactly.
again.
Exactly. Jesus is answering that question about his coming. What are the signs? And yeah, that's 24. All right, so what I want to do is I'm going to look at 3 verses just to make a point. There's a tribulation, there's a great tribulation. Look at verse 9. This is part of Jesus' answer. Verse 9 says, "Then they will deliver you to tribulation and will kill you, and you will be hated by all nations because of my name." One of the things that's going to be going on refers to tribulation. Look at verse 29. "But immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened, the moon will not give its light, stars will fall from the sky, powers of the heavens will be shaken." There's tribulation. Now, in contrast to tribulation period, look at verse 21. "For then there will be a great tribulation, such as has not occurred since the beginning of the world until now, nor ever will." I'll just read 22 also. "Unless those days had been cut short, no life would have been saved. But for the sake of the elect, those days will be cut short." Which days? The great tribulation. So just point being, I'm assuming this is where people get the terminology tribulation, great tribulation. That's where I see it. Tribulation first half, great tribulation second half. Main thing to bring out right now is just that there's a distinction between the 2 time periods. And the context lets you know it's half and half. We're not going to go there now. But anyway, tribulation, great tribulation. So second half, great tribulation. So our great multitude happens post-rapture. Have y'all seen anywhere else that clarifies great and regular tribulation?
I've heard it this way before, but I can't remember who from.
Yeah, okay.
The first half is the tribulation,
Yeah.
the second half is the great tribulation. But it also comes from, most Baptist preachers believe in a pre-tribulation rapture.
They do, yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if that makes a difference as to how it
Yeah.
relates or not.
I don't know either.
A lot of people think that we're going to rapture up and then the tribulation.
They do.
Mhm.
Yeah, they do. They do.
And if that happens, I'll be glad.
I wouldn't turn it
Oh,
down.
God. I say, Kelly, I'll wait on you. I'll see you later, girl.
Okay. Back to Revelation. I wanted to bring this out.
Chapter.
Back to where we were, which was chapter 7. Let me get turned back. Revelation 7. And it was 9 through 17 that we read. Look at verse 16 and 17. So we know, I'm going to read it again, but we know that these are coming out of the second half. Okay? So the people they're talking about in these verses are the ones who love the Lord in the second half. Listen to these two verses. They will hunger no longer, nor thirst any more, nor will the sun beat down on them, nor any heat. For the Lamb in the center of the throne will be their shepherd and will guide them to springs of the water of life, and God will wipe every tear from their eyes. Y'all, that context is about the ones who live in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have it rough.
If they don't have the mark of the beast,
That's right.
they're not going to be able to eat
That's right.
or do all that.
That's right. Right. So it seems to me they are going to experience hunger, thirst,
Mm-hmm.
right? Sun beating down, heat. They're going to be crying because God is saying when they get to the throne room, they won't be experiencing those anymore. They will experience that. But that is because, it's not because God's pouring it on them. It's different in the second half. It's because Satan and the Antichrist have full authority and reign on the earth in the second half. We'll get to that. But that's Revelation chapter 13. Which is mind-blowing. But it's there. Now, God has allowed it. I get all that. He's allowed it. But nonetheless. The believers, however that shakes out in the second half, because they're not born again, it's different. But they won't have God living on the inside like we do. They're going to have it rough.
And there's a lot of speculations on that cutting the time short. And it mentioned the heat. One person was trying to say that the sun is just going to be beaten down so bad that people couldn't make it. They had to cut the day short. Which, I don't have to understand.
There is a
it.
section that happens, but that's actually in the first half. But I mean, who knows?
Right.
Yeah, who knows?
To prevent
I kind of think it's anyway, that's a whole other ballgame. I kind of think it's the seven-bowl judgment time period, but
condensing it.
yeah. Just that section of the last half, but anywho, that's another ballgame. But they get shortened for the elect's sake.
It's still a 3.5 situation. It's just
I think it's a segment of the 3.5, the worst segment.
the worst it could be.
That's what it seems, but
And
that's another thought. That's what it seems. But anyway, I won't say definitively. Okay, are we ready to keep going? Okay. Revelation chapter 8, 1 through 6. Anybody want to read that?
I will.
Okay.
When the Lamb opened the seventh seal, there was silence in heaven for about half an hour. When I saw the 7 angels who stand before God, and 7 trumpets were given to him, and another angel come out and stood at the altar with a golden censer, and he was given much incense to offer with the prayers of all the saints on the golden altar before the throne. And the smoke of the incense with the prayers of the saints rose before God from the hand of the angel. Then the angel took the censer and filled it with fire from the altar and threw it to the earth, and there were peals of thunder, rumbling, flashing of lightning, and earthquake. I got to stumbling a little bit there in the beginning because something come to me I remembered I thought you might like. So it said that this had to be all men in heaven back then, because there was total silence for 30 minutes. You ever heard that one?
Holy Mark.
I thought of Kathy. I said, I'm losing my focus.
It had me listening for a pearl of wisdom here.
Did you get it?
Oh, there's going to be about
Wow.
Sorry.
It's all right. It's all right. And then after that, the 7 angels who had the 7 trumpets prepared themselves. Okay. Yeah, there's a bunch in here. So what's up with this silence? I do not know the answer. But I did look up silence in the concordance. And it means an expectant hush. That's interesting. An expectant hush. It's like they know, it's just me. It's like they know something big's getting ready to happen.
Don't want to miss it.
Just waiting. Pay attention.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Pay attention. Right. Ooh. Right. And so there are 7 angels who stand before God, and they're getting trumpets. And so in a little bit, the angels are going to blow their trumpet one at a time, and we'll see things start to happen on the earth. Just like, Jesus opening the seal.
Yeah.
It's going to be similar with these angels and trumpets, one thing at a time. But we will get to that. It is awesome to me that there is another angel, not one of the 7, but another angel in heaven at this time holding a censer, a golden censer, a bowl, a lamp, however you want to visualize it. And he's got incense from the altar, and he's got it full of the prayers of the saints. That's us.
Mm-hmm.
And he lights this thing, and then he throws it to the earth. I don't know how to process this. The incense from the altar, sweet smelling savor to the Lord, and our prayers get thrown to the earth, which creates then peals of thunder and sounds and flashes of lightning and an earthquake. That's before the angels even start their trumpet. I don't know how to process that. Are we praying, Lord, set everything right, Lord, do your thing, Lord, do your righteous acts, all of that, and that's part of it being accomplished? I don't know. But we're praying something.
Right.
Not just us, but the church,
I
whatever.
could only assume that it's talking about the prayers from the beginning of the 3.5
Yeah.
to that point, since that's the whole discussion.
Yeah, I don't know. Or it's all the saints for all time who have had any, I don't know, Lord, you're going to set it right in the end. Set it right, Lord. I don't know. But anything that has to do with this time, I don't know.
Wow.
But that's amazing to me. That our prayers play a part. I don't know how to process that. That's amazing to me. Okay. And he takes it from the altar in heaven. Whew. That's before the throne. The golden altar in heaven. And throws it to the earth. Okay. Let's go back to Ezekiel. What you got, Toby? I'm seeing your face. You got something?
No.
I thought I saw something. Woohoo!
Put
Go
it
on.
on. Put it on.
Okay. Let's go back to Ezekiel. We were in chapter 8 and chapter 9 about these 144,000, right? We're going to go to chapter 10. And guess what? There's going to be something about this altar.
Oh, Lord.
And it's in the right order. Ezekiel chapter 10. Awesome. It's like a parallel book, so to speak. It runs parallel with Revelation. Okay. I'm going to read Ezekiel chapter 10, 1 through 7. Keeping in mind this altar and the fire from the altar and being thrown to the earth, right? Chapter 10, 1 through 7. Ezekiel says, Then I looked, and behold, in the expanse that was over the heads of the cherubim, something like a sapphire stone in appearance, resembling a throne, appeared above the cherubim. And he spoke to the man clothed in linen, remember the one with the writing case?
Mm-hmm.
And said, Enter between the whirling wheels under the cherubim, and fill your hands with coals of fire. This is the same event, y'all. From between the cherubim, and scatter them over the city. Jerusalem, the earth. And he entered in my sight. Now the cherubim were standing on the right side of the temple. Remember, Ezekiel's vision is all in the temple that's going to get built in our lifetime. Verse 3 again, sorry. Now the cherubim were standing on the right side of the temple when the man entered, and the cloud, that's the glory that talked about before, the cloud filled the inner court. Then the glory of the Lord went up from the cherub to the threshold of the temple. And the temple was filled with the cloud, the glory cloud, and the court was filled with the brightness of the glory of the Lord. Moreover, the sound of the wings of the cherubim was heard as far as the outer court, like the voice of God Almighty when he speaks. It came about when he commanded the man clothed in linen, saying, Take fire from between the whirling wheels, from between the cherubim. He entered and stood beside a wheel. Then the cherub stretched out his hand from between the cherub to the fire, which was between the cherubim, took some, and put it into the hands of the one clothed in linen, who took it and went out. Now, this description is around the glory of the Lord, it's around the four living creatures, and around the throne. Just like Revelation that we just read was talking about the golden altar before the throne in heaven. And this angel in Revelation lighting the censer with the fire from the throne and hurling it to the earth. Ezekiel is describing the same thing. The coals of fire in verse 2 get scattered over the city. Now, in Ezekiel, who do you think this person is? Since he was at the throne, I think it's Jesus. But I couldn't say that for sure. But nonetheless, he's in the throne room. This angel, whoever it is in the throne room and is hurling the fire to the earth. And in Ezekiel, it comes right after the 144,000 get sealed, which is the same order in Revelation. It's awesome. This event, when there's silence in heaven, was prophesied back in Ezekiel. Blows me away. Blows me away.
I try to keep up with what's happened here in verse 6, and it's almost word cherubim. I can't figure out if that's like I saw a deer or I saw 3 deer. I don't know what's singular and plural.
Yeah. The cherubim are the 4 living beings.
And then the cherub
is singular. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And in chapter 10 of Ezekiel, verse 20, clarifies that the living beings are the cherubim. Verse 20 says, "These are the living beings that I saw beneath the God of Israel by the river Chabar. So I knew that they were cherubim."
Gotcha.
That goes back to chapter 1. It's the 4 living beings. Clarity is awesome. I never knew the cherubim were the 4 living beings. Never knew. But there it is. Okay, so that's awesome, isn't it? That's awesome. Alright, so we've got the silence in heaven. Ooh, here we go. And we got some angel throwing these prayers and down to the earth, lighting the fire from the altar, and there's earthquake. Okay, that's just big enough, y'all. That's just big right there. Alright, so then verse 6 says, "And the 7 angels who have the 7 trumpets prepared themselves to sound them." So we ain't even had the blowing of the trumpets yet. Alright, now we're getting ready to have the blowing of the trumpets. You ready? Let me ask you this before we get into them. When we get to the last trumpet, or the 7th trumpet, do y'all remember what happens at the last trump?
He's coming back.
Yes, exactly.
No, not. I just remember.
Yes,
it.
you are.
That's it. So we are now getting really close to him coming back, because we got 7 trumpets. So we got 6, and then he comes back. Here we go with number 1. Ready? Who wants to read? Let's read 7 through 11. Revelation 8, 7 through 11.
I can.
Okay.
We'll try. The first angel blew his trumpet, and there followed hail and fire mixed with blood, and these were thrown upon the earth, and 1/3 of the earth was burned up, and 1/3 of the trees were burned up, and all green grass was burned up. A second angel blew his trumpet, and something like a great mountain burning with fire was thrown into the sea, and a third of the sea became blood. A third of the living creatures in the sea died, and a third of the ships were destroyed. The third angel blew his trumpet, and a great star fell from heaven, blazing like a torch, and it fell on a third of the rivers and on the springs of water. The name of the star was wormwood, and a third of the waters became wormwood, and many people died from the water because it had been made bitter.
Thank you. So, do you see all of this? 3 angels, I guess one at a time, I assume. They each bring fire. They each bring fire. So the first one sounded, hail, fire, and blood was thrown. Fire. The second one sounded, it was a great mountain burning with fire. The third one sounded, a great star burning like a torch. So these first 3 bring fire to the earth, and then there's different repercussions, you know, but it all starts with fire. Y'all remember 2 Peter 3 something that said the Lord is reserving the earth for fire, judgment, and fire? Y'all remember that? 2 Peter 3, let's see what that was. I can't remember. Let me find it and read it again. 2 Peter 3:7. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. But by his word, the present heavens and earth are being reserved for fire, kept for the day of judgment and destruction of ungodly men. The fire is starting. Now, it ain't completed, but it's starting. Okay, so the first one, you get fire and hail and blood. And basically, you just got a variety of trees that are burned up and green grass. And the earth, the ground itself. The ground, trees, and green grass burned. And we're here. I mean, what's going on in California is nothing compared to this, right? It's just hard to, it's really hard to make this real in my thinking. And then you got a great mountain coming down. I mean, my goodness, look up in the sky and there is a mountain on fire.
So what?
Yeah, I don't know how to process this, but nonetheless, it's going to happen. And it's thrown into the sea, and the sea becomes blood. A third of the sea becomes blood. So it kills fish, and, it kills all kinds of stuff. Destroying ships. I mean, I don't know what that will do to the whole ecosystem, but nonetheless, it's not good. And then you got the third one. I think I said third while ago, but that was the second. And then you got the third one. You got a star burning like a torch. But the name is wormwood. This is key. The name of that star is wormwood, and the waters become bitter.
And it said the springs.
And the spring. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. So you can't get fresh water. That's right. So no more source of drinking water on the third of it. On the third, yeah. So it's going to affect people's ability to get waters. Okay. Wormwood. And the water is made bitter. Y'all, this is new to me. I had not seen this until recently. Go to Deuteronomy. We know that God does things for a reason, right? Even if we don't know why. We know He does them for a reason. I got a little revelation on this reason. I say a little because I'm sure there's more. But Deuteronomy 29 gives us a clue into this wormwood. and why he's sending a star and calling it wormwood. Awesome. Deuteronomy 29, verse 18. Now, in context, this is Moses giving some instruction, and basically saying, keep the commandments of the Lord, or it will not go well for you. So verse 18 says, so that there will not be among you a man or a woman, or family or a tribe, whose heart turns away today from the Lord our God, to go and serve the gods of those nations, that there will not be among you a root bearing poisonous fruit and wormwood. There's that wormwood. Well, when you look up wormwood, it's bitter. It's bitter. So, notice this. He's warning not to partake in what the nations are doing, so that their heart will not be turned bitter. So if the Israelites get involved in all those false gods and stupid stuff, right, the abominations and things the Lord said don't get involved in, if they get involved in it, their heart gets bitter and bears poisonous fruit, right? Okay, so people who are doing that, turned away from the Lord, their hearts are bitter. Okay. Doesn't God have a principle called sowing and reaping?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't he often, or let's leave it at that, sowing and reaping. So people whose hearts are bitter toward the Lord, what does he give them? Bitter waters.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And then he even says he's going to do it. Let me turn there. Jeremiah chapter 9. Sowing and reaping. Wow. Good or bad, right? Jeremiah. Where are you at, Jeremiah? Chapter 9. Basically, the Lord says he's gonna give them wormwood. Jeremiah chapter 9. We're going to read 13 through 16. And then we'll put it in context in a minute. Chapter 9, 13 through 16. The Lord said, because they have forsaken my law, which I set before them, and have not obeyed my voice, nor walked according to it, but have walked after the stubbornness of their heart, and after the Baals, as their fathers taught them, therefore, thus says the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, behold, I will feed them, this people, with wormwood, and give them poisoned water to drink. I will scatter them among the nations whom neither they nor their fathers have known, and I will send the sword after them until I have annihilated them. Now we know the Lord has not yet ever annihilated the Jews. So this can only be at the end of time that certain ones will get annihilated, and only the ones who aren't in Jesus, right? We've looked at that in previous weeks. But he is basically saying right here that in the process of him annihilating, he will feed them with wormwood and give them poison water to drink. And it's because their heart was bitter toward him. And Revelation is when he sends that bitter water. Wow. God, wish I had the words to express what that does to my heart. God says He's going to do it. He reminds us He's going to do it. And then He does it. Now, there might be 5,000 years in between.
Does it on His time.
Right. But that detail just continues to blow me away. And I'm sure that everything in here in Revelation is back here. I mean, I'm sure it is, whether we've seen it or not. I'm just sure it is. Blows my mind. Let me give you context. Without explanation, I'm going to give you homework if you have time for it this week. In context of what we just read, Jeremiah chapter 9, starting in verse 1, if you read all the way through chapter 10, verse 25, it's awesome. Chapter 9, verse 1 through 10:25. 9:1 through 10:25 gives you awesome context of just him giving them bitterness and why. And so if you have time this week, read that, meditate on it. Just let the Lord speak to your heart about it. It's just, there's something to it when it's just you and the Lord reading. You get more.
Jeremiah 9:1 through 10:39.
10:25.
10:25.
You got it. 9:1 through 10:25.
That's 9 and 10.
Yeah, for the most part. Part 10 anyway. Yeah, it is. It is 9 and 10. So sorry. It sure is. All of chapter 9 and 10. That's a lot easier. Thank you, Mark. Duh. And then, if you have something to share about it next week, please do. If you don't feel pressure. You know what I mean?
2 weeks.
Just, yeah,
2 weeks.
2 weeks. In 2 weeks, yeah. So don't feel pressure, but just let the Lord speak. It's awesome. But then if you have something, bring it in 2 weeks. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to stop the recording, but